If you've ever listened to the post-hardcore genre of music, then you probably know this song. Taylor! Yeah, see, I knew it. You definitely know it. Emarosa is a band that's been through a lot, and it's a band I have a strong emotional connection to. With their demise seemingly on the horizon, I thought it would be prudent to discuss their history. Also, before we begin, let's be real here. I'm using Wikipedia and YouTube as main sources for this video, so if anything is horribly inaccurate, let me know. Emarosa was founded in Lexington, Kentucky, the town I live in, by 3 graduating high schoolers debating whether they should go to college or try to pursue music full time. As you might have guessed, they chose the route that sounded way more fun. Corsets Are Cages was the original name they went by, releasing a 3-song demo tape with the vocalist Chris Roberts. These 3 songs have a very homemade, early 2000s screamo quality. My favorite song from the set is Too Close for Missiles, I'm Switching to Guns. I really like the intro to the song and the bouncy riffs. These songs lean more towards metalcore and had lots of scream vocals. This arrangement wouldn't last long, and Roberts would leave before the band was signed to a record label. Chris Rotter would replace Roberts as main vocalist, and the band's name was changed to Emarosa. Their first official release, an EP titled This Is Your Way Out, would be released in 2007. The Corsets Are Cages song Utah, But I'm Taller was redone for the album simply as Utah. This Is Your Way Out has similar vibes to the original Corsets demos, but with a more mature and maybe artsy vibe. The band was still very much a metalcore band. Once again, Rotter's tenure would be short, with him leaving the band right after the EP dropping. Rotter would go on to be frontman of the very successful band Like Moths to Flames. Oh boy, here we go. This is where Johnny Craig comes in. If you know anything about Johnny Craig, you know he's an incredibly controversial figure. There was a ton of backlash when he joined Emarosa to replace Rotter for many reasons. The first is that the switch happened so fast, I think the fans had whiplash, going from one singer to the next 6 months after their first EP had dropped. The second was because Johnny was a huge part of Dance Gavin Dance at the time, so fans were extremely confused when it was suddenly announced he would be in Emarosa. The third reason there was so much backlash was because fans at the time had a certain expectation that Emarosa would stick to their heavy roots, and with just Johnny as lead vocalist, they did not. Johnny even spoke on this in an old interview.
Now, when I interviewed a Graceful, and Casey from the band said that one of the possible reasons you would be talking about Chris and his wife would be that Emarosa received supposedly bad reviews on the Relativity album because you guys went from being a metalcore band to now being this ambient band that Johnny's in. Well, like, what do you say about that?
My opinion on that is, you know, they were like an Under Oath rip-off band. Like, even Chris, he did like rip-offs of like the melodies from the Under Oath singer. So I was like, you know what, I don't really care. I really don't think too much about it because we're actually making real music, and they were just kind of, you know, sliding into the same genre as everyone else. And I feel like we're trying to do something different, trying to have a better sound than what they used to have, and that's why they got rid of him and got me. Because he was still in the band when they got me. I came to Kentucky to try out for them, and he was still in the band. They let him go. So I think that's what he's a little butthurt about.
Enter Relativity, Emarosa's first full-length album, and they sound completely different. I mean, they were still in the realm of rock, but now in a much more post-hardcore headspace. Johnny's soaring vocals over the technical and sometimes ambient music produced a hit, with the album getting incredible reception from fans and critics. Personally, Relativity is a weird one for me. Like, it's definitely up there in terms of instrumentation and some of Johnny's best lyrics and vocals, but it's not something I can just throw on and enjoy. I gotta sit down and really listen and take it in, like I am right now. Relativity was released through Rise Records on July 8th, 2008, and the band enjoyed touring for 2 years after releasing it, with bands such as Sky Eats Airplane, Chiodos, Icy Stars, and many others. In 2010, Emarosa once again entered the studio to record their next album, simply titled Emarosa. The album would be released June 29th, 2010, again featuring Johnny Craig as vocalist. This album has a much more chill vibe, with the artsy stuff cut down for a more straight rock approach. I love this album so much. It's just banger after banger. The song Broken versus The Way We Were Born has definitely brought tears to my eyes. Me and my girlfriend have a special connection to Toast to the Future Kids. I used the song in an old video that she would watch a lot when we couldn't be together due to distance. Sorry to get sappy, this album is important to me. Like most things though, it wasn't important to Johnny Craig, as he seemingly left Emarosa to rejoin Dance Gavin Dance in 2011. It wasn't super clear he was out of the band until he checked himself into rehab after scamming people by selling MacBooks he supposedly had. Shortly after that, Johnny was kicked out of Emarosa. While Johnny was gone, Tillian Pearson ironically filled in for him at live shows. Tillian also recorded a couple of demos with Emarosa, which are really good. For some reason, he never joined Emarosa and would later join Dance Gavin Dance. Johnny Craig would form a new band called Slaves after he got out of rehab, though he was kicked out last year. Emarosa began the hunt for a new vocalist, reportedly not wanting a Johnny Craig 2.0, but rather a new sound. They ended up with vocalist Bradley Walden. Wait, what? This guy? This guy isn't Johnny Craig 2.0? Ginger dude with tattoos? Alright, whatever. Anyway, Bradley Walden joined the band as vocalist in 2013, leaving his then current band Squid the Whale, a pop rock band which displayed that he was more than capable to lead Emarosa with a frenetic energy most don't possess. On September 9th, 2014, Emarosa released their third full-length, Verses, a much more low-key album than the last two, but still post-hardcore. The song People Like Me, We Just Don't Play is a great example of the energy Bradley was able to bring to the table, as well as his songwriting abilities. Verses had a couple bangers, not gonna lie, but for the most part it didn't retain that same energy Johnny Emarosa had, and I think fans were not as receptive to it. However, their next album, titled 131, was much more ambitious and grabbed a lot of new fans. 131 was released on July 8th, 2016 through a new label, Hopeless Records, and had a much more straightforward rock sound, seemingly abandoning post-hardcore. Around this time is when I became a huge fan of the band, and the girl I was talking to at the time and I really bonded over 131. My favorite song on the album is probably Blue, as it's one of the heaviest songs on the album, but I also love Miracle for the message behind the song. Emarosa had a headlining tour with Anne Berlin in support of 131, and conveniently their last stop was in Lexington, Kentucky. The girl I was talking to entered a contest and actually won a free ticket and got to meet the band and got a signed t-shirt. They asked her what song she wanted to hear them play, and when she said Toast to the Future Kids, they said no. Yeah, so anyway, I awkwardly asked that girl to be my girlfriend, and we've been going strong for almost 4 years now. That concert is still one of the best nights of my life, even though I was so flippin' nervous. But sadly, Emarosa's story doesn't end on a happy note. 2 years after 131, Emarosa released their most recent album, Peach Club, on October 17th, 2018. This album is much more inspired by After Laughter by Paramore, combining rock with a synth pop sound. I was vibing to the first single, Given Up Hard, and then the rest of the album is okay too. A few good songs, but some really bad and boring ones. Again, this album was well received by newcomers and some old fans, though I've seen many complaints on the drastic change that's occurred from self-titled to Peach Club. June 30th, 2020, devastating news dropped. Bradley Walden is a child groomer. In a highly detailed anonymous tweet, the user tells a story about how they were felt up by Bradley when they were 16 and how he stayed close in contact with them, turning their relationship sexual via DMs and Snapchat. Though it went no farther, the user said their sexting continued until she was 19 through many of Bradley's relationships. Bradley's manipulative nature messed this user up mentally, causing a suicide attempt at 21. Alright, hopefully I don't have to spell this out for you, but in case I do, this is fucked up. So many great memories tainted by this arrogant douchebag. I have a friend who has a whole fox tattoo in dedication to the band. His name is David. He has a band called Polterguise, by the way. Check him out. I personally have seen the band live, I think, 4 times, and my favorite part has always been how insane Bradley is on stage. Singing perfectly while crowd surfing, climbing shit. Seriously, my favorite act to watch live. Never again. So, where do we go from here? Well, it appears Hopeless Records has dropped the band, so that's a good start. And let me just be clear, I bear no ill will towards the rest of the band's members, but they seriously need to cut Bradley out and rebrand, Slaves style. Though Emarosa started as a dream to play music professionally by 3 dudes out of high school, it's grown into a catalog of music by an abuser and a child groomer. Great songs, but tainted. I say go back to your roots of post-hardcore. The community would gladly accept them as they are talented musicians. But please, Emarosa, for the love of God, choose your vocalist wisely. Alright, that's all I have to say for now. I've never made content that hits this close to home before, so I hope you enjoyed it. And maybe dropped a like or a sub or something. I don't know. Enjoy this outro. It's by a band called Spiderwolf, Deathhorse.